What's going on, everyone? So today we are back. Hopefully you are enjoying the set 2 videos because we are talking another deck list and we're going to be driving it today or piloting it today in Ray Green. This was a pretty sweet one and we're going to dive in and talk a little bit about it before we actually start playing some games. I want to just mention a few things as I normally do, guys. This is not going to be the best list probably, and it's probably not going to be, heck, even the best Ray list even, but we're just testing out a few of the cards, going in and seeing how they play with the brand new leaders, and Ray is actually a pretty cool one. I was very down on her initially, but there were a few different additions that I think make Ray a little bit more interesting, and more importantly, there's already a few command cards that are really good with Ray that I think I'm a little bit higher on now that I've tested a little bit of Ray. But anyways, if you want to pick up any of the cards, guys, or pick up the cards when they come out, use my TCG play link in the description down below. Let's talk Ray here. Why are we playing around with Ray as our leader? We have Vigilance, Heroism, and we have an action, 1 resource, exhaust, give an experience token to a unit with 2 or less power. Now, normally that's a pretty big restriction, but there's a few cards that work really, really well with it, and we'll talk about those in just a moment. Her flip side is a 6 to deploy 2/6, so absolutely a horrid stat line. But on attack, she can give an experience token to a unit with power 2 or less. And she also has Restore 3. So the idea is you attack with her, she becomes a 3/7, which is manageable. And she also has Restore 3. And the idea is to get a lot of value out of her. So how are we doing that? Well, we're actually a very low to the ground deck, but that's not because we're super aggressive. We can be aggressive, but we're low to the ground in order to get a ton of value out of our actions from Ray. We have multiple turn 1 plays. We have in total 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, technically 24, but you really don't want to play Freetown backup as a unit out of turn 1, but 21 different turn 1 plays, and most of them 1 resource. And the idea here is we can play these high value units and just pump up their stat line to make them even more valuable, such as Alliance Dispatcher or Bail Organa. These cards are only ever good, at least right now, in Luke for the most part, because they generally just die. But giving them an experience token actually makes them pretty valuable. Bail can actually give us a ton of value, and Alliance Dispatcher can actually live and start to trade with things. We also have things like R2 or Clone Deserter, which can just be 2 5s or 3 4s on turn 1. Then we have a couple of space units such as Arc 170 and X-Wing that become 3 4s, which is really powerful. And our last kind of 2 resource play, with the exception of Freetown backup, Follower of the Way can become a 3/5 with Ray's action, which is really, really impressive. Freetown backup, just a nice way to get some value out of our resource pile. It does come in handy every once in a while. We also have 3 copies of Yoda, Admiral Akbar, and Sundari Peacekeeper. Very low statted power wise, but do something really powerful. Yoda's Restore. Admiral Akbar ends up just killing something straight up because of our really, really early game plays, and also can be pumped up by Ray. Sundari Peacekeeper actually attacks as a 3/5 with Restore 2, which is really nice, and ends up being a lot more powerful if you can pump it up with experience tokens. Bright Hope, a nice sentinel body that can bounce something later on to draw some cards and can be pumped up. Rose Tico is arguably the strongest card in this list. It's the card that we're really looking to ECL out, as you can ECL, defeat the shield token on Rose Tico to become a 4/8, which is really nice. But there are some times where you just play Rose Tico as a 2/6 shielded, and then you put an experience token, she becomes a 3/7 shielded, and then you can defeat her shield token, which becomes a 5/9 non-shielded, which is just really crazy. So there's some really nice things you can do with Rose Tico. A couple of Fell the Dragons as one of the only things that can actually start really destroying us, is some really later gameplays with a lot of power. 3 copies of Modded Cohort can ambush something and actually get an experience token afterwards. And then to finish off our curve, we have 3 copies of Ewing. Now this might look a little bit strange in this deck, but really what we're trying to do is just get a massive flood of units, hopefully with an Admiral Akbar in there while Ray comes down, and then get a lot of value with Ray and just flood the board of units. And we also have 3 copies of Jedi Lightsaber. It works particularly well with Yoda and Ray. It's one of the ways we can keep Ray alive and actually do some work as a unit herself. With all that said, let's dive into some games and check out Ray. So on to game number 1 here, where it's Chirrut Red. Well, kind of a reasonable hand. We have a turn 1 play, turn 2 play, a couple of different options for us. And we're going to see what we can do against it. What do I want to resource? I think it's got to be probably the Alliance X-Wing and probably the Jedi lightsaber. Our opponent could play a bunch of really powerful upgrades and get bigger units than us, potentially. But I think I want the U-wing reinforcements against them. So we will see. We will see. I hope that we can get some pretty nice value going. We have R2, which is a 2/5 for us on turn 1, into Sundari Peacekeeper. So like that, there's another Sundari Peacekeeper. I think we can bottom that. Probably not necessary to have one of those guys. They might go Jedi Lightsaber against us, to be honest, but we get to go experience token on our R2, so our R2 is just a little bit better than theirs, and they claimed initiative, and we have a Bright Hope and a Bail Organa. Interesting. I think... What do I want to do here? I could go Bail Organa experience token, but I think that's a little bit weak. I think Bail Organa probably has outlived his usefulness as we drew him on the second turn instead of the first turn. But let's see what they decide to do. They could go with like a big lightsaber on R2. And if that's the case, we could be in a little bit of trouble. So we'll have to see what we decide, what they end up doing here. Let's go Sundari Peacekeeper, I think. Because we can't kill, we could have killed with Akbar on R2, but I think I'd rather save Akbar. I think I'd rather just go with the Sundari Peacekeeper. 2 damage isn't too bad. They get to go with C-3PO to draw a card, so that's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and hit their base for 2, and I'll keep a modded cohort on top. That seems pretty good on this board state. We get to kill either C-3PO or R2-D2. They get to claim initiative. We get to pass, and we could probably resource a follower of the way. I want to keep the U-wing reinforcement in hand, as I mentioned. Bright Hope's still looking decent here. We could potentially bounce the modded cohort and re-ambush something. And they probably want to go R2 and then try to attack with C-3PO, but they're going to take down my R2. Interesting. Let's just go modded cohort, ambush, hit C-3PO, and let's see what they decide to do here. They're going to attack R2, and interesting. They're going to hit weird. I guess we could hit their R2 now if we wanted to, but I don't even think we care about that. I think we just hit their base here for 3. They could put an upgrade, but they decide to put a card. Did they try to put a card on top? They put a card on top. Okay, so they're drawing a card that they actually want here. So we could go Bright Hope here. We could try to get an experience token going. Not sure why they decided to attack my modded cohort. I'm not sure. I'm going to resource one of the Bright Hopes to give us a little bit of options here. I'm really not sure what our opponent's doing with their deck. C-3PO and R2 is a combo, I suppose, and they did take down. Okay, they got 1 damage over on our Sundari Peacekeeper. Seems reasonable, I suppose. I think I just get in with the modded cohort into their base. They put a card on top of their deck, but we just get in for 4 here, and let's see what our opponent decides to do. They could Jedi Lightsaber up their Chirrut, which could be a little bit scary for sure. Jedi Lightsaber on Chirrut would be pretty nasty. Chirrut does deploy. Nice little turn before we do, which is kind of brutal, but we'll see. What do you got, opponent? They got Wing Leader on their R2. Interesting. All right, let's go ahead and get an experience token over on the Peacekeeper. They're going to claim initiative. All right, we're just going to go ahead and kill their R2 with our Akbar, hit them for 4, and, well, that was a pretty good turn for us. Saving the Akbar ended up working pretty nicely there. I'm surprised they didn't deploy Chirrut and put the Wing Leader, because Chirrut can't be defeated the turn he comes down. Easy Alliance Dispatcher resource there. There isn't really any other reason or any other card that looks appealing to resource. Bombing Run. Okay, they were trying to kill off our units, but they ended up killing off basically nothing. Let's go ahead and hit in for 1 with Akbar, because I plan on Bright Hoping the Akbar back to hand, which works pretty nicely for us. They get to, oh, and they're going to, okay, we're going to attack, flip Ray, give an experience token, and my goodness, we are kind of flooding the board very quickly here. We have a U-wing reinforcement to deploy this turn, or we could go multiple different threats. I think we can get rid of the X-wing. I don't think we're going to be playing that. Tempted to go Akbar to Akbar. Not really sure why my opponent's not deploying Chirrut. They probably should have deployed Chirrut a long time ago, to be fair, but, you know, I suppose our opponent is doing what they are doing. So let's see here. This hits in for 5. I could Ewing reinforcement. I could Akbar hit Obi for 3, but then they're gonna get 2 experience tokens over here. That seems reasonable. Let's just hit Obi for 3. So we hit Ray into Obi. We get an experience token over on Bright Hope. They're gonna force throw something. Okay, what are they gonna force throw? They target us. They deal 2 damage. Okay, they target us. Okay, they get to deal 2 damage, which is pretty unimpressive, I will say. Don't think you should have targeted us unless they have like absolutely nothing, because now what happens is they can give 2 experience tokens to a unit, but like that's going to be the wing leader, and it doesn't give them like a draw card. They should have deployed cheer is all I'm saying. They needed to deploy cheer a long time ago. Because now we're just kind of controlling the board. They have no damage on our base. We haven't even ECL'd anything out yet. And we have Ewing reinforcements and Akbar and Yoda, and they're out of resources, and we have multiple attacks to make this turn. Like, they're just dead. We just deck for 5 here, and they're just dead. All right, we got through the cheer at red here. GG. That was pretty good. Pretty nice showing. I mean, we just had a ton of value from all the experience tokens we were putting out. Our opponent was probably trying to set up a bombing run, but we just continuously outgrew their bombing run, which ended up being a little bit awkward for them. But I mean, that's what Ray does. That's what Ray does. On to game number 2. It looks like we're against Han Green, so some things could be coming out from Han here. We have a decent hand. We have Bale into Yoda or Arc 170. I think this is reasonable. Bale becomes a 2/3. Keep in mind that any play that you make against Han Green could be terrible, simply for the fact that they could play an Ezra Bridger on turn 1, or a Millennium Falcon, or whatever amount of plays that just kill your play straight up, which is pretty brutal. But there's not much you can do about it. I mean, it is what it is, right? It is what it is. We're going to go to play Bail Organa. We're going to see what they have. They have a resupply on turn 1, which is usually a pretty solid play for Han. We get to put an experience token on Bale, which means that he doesn't die, so that's nice. And then we get to decide what we want to do. I think X-Wing's the clear resource here, and I'm tempted to go all in on the ground here, mainly because it's going to make Admiral Akbar a lot better if we stack one area. We could also go Arc 170. Oh, they ended up going a strafing gunship. Okay, change of plans. We get to go Arc 170, give an experience token with Ray, give an experience token with Bale, kill their strafing gunship, which is absolutely insane. So that's going to be huge. If, they decide not to. I mean, they could kill Bale here, which, would work out for them, but it gives us a nice sized unit here to kill their strafing gunship, which ends up working out quite nicely for us. We have Yoda. We have Akbar. Okay, I don't mind Yoda here. Yoda into experience token. They have Wedge, which is pretty good for them. They have a 7-drop next turn, so we'll see what ends up happening here. But we have a decent sized couple of units right now. We could modded cohort ambush something. We could also Rose Tico ECL something. Patrolling V-Wing. What? Ah, they get +1/+1 and ambush from Wedge. Kind of sweet. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, let's go Admiral Akbar. Hit your Wedge for 2. Now they trade with something. They could potentially, kill my Akbar, and that's okay because I'm gonna prepare for takeoff. It looks like okay, so we got like a little bit of a Wedge vehicle Han Green type situation going on here. Patrolling V-Wing was pretty sweet from Wedge. I did not expect that. I'm going to be honest. I was like, how did they kill my thing? They got a home 1 and they have a frontline shuttle. Okay. Let's just go ahead and kill off Wedge and draw a card. Drew a 2-drop, which is pretty nice. So they have, we're going to deploy Han. We're going to deploy an Arc 170. They can kill off Admiral Akbar here. Makes sense. Now they have couple damage on the... They have Alliance Dispatcher and a Frontline Shuttle. We have a double Jedi Lightsaber. Okay, let's get rid of one of them. So we can potentially ECL something out. So they have home one, so they can get something back, which is kind of nasty. They can get back like a patrolling V-Wing for free. Oh, they can, yeah, home one comes down this turn. It's coming down this turn. Wow. They could potentially attack first as well. All right, I mean, not much we could do about it. Home one comes down this turn. They are value training right now, I will say that much. They're gonna attack in. Interesting. Let's just defeat the frontline shuttle to avoid any additional attacks here. We can ECL at the Rose Tico. We are behind for sure in this game. Ooh, so they did not go ahead. Let's just deploy Rey here. And let's see what they decide to do. I thought they were just going to play their home one with Alliance Dispatcher. But I suppose they're trying to play home one with Alliance Dispatcher, get back Bright Hope, bounce Alliance Dispatcher. Not quite sure what they're trying to do here, to be honest. Okay, they got Bright Hope. That's exactly what they decided to do. Okay, it makes sense. Let's go ahead and Rose Tico? No, we can't Rose Tico. We could Rose Tico. I really need to get a Jedi lightsaber on Rey. It needs to happen. I need to get rid of this Han. I need to get in for some damage. We are very much behind here, and this is going to help us kind of stabilize here if we just kind of control the ground. If we control the ground, then we can start restoring, which is pretty nice. Modded cohort looking pretty bad here. We get to go U-Wing reinforcement, which looks pretty nice here. Let's see what they have. Wow. Home one. That was pretty impressive from our opponent. They got the home one out with the Alliance Dispatcher. Kind of a nice little brew here, little Han green vehicle deck, which is pretty nice. They're going to be mainly in space, of course, which we already knew, but just something to keep in mind. Another prepare for takeoff. All right, let's see what they get. Let's see what they grab off the top 8 cards of their deck. Let's see. Rogue Squadron Skirmisher. So they have ambush. They can return 2-cost unit, which would be patrolling V-Wing potentially, or frontline shuttle. So they can get the frontline shuttle attack multiple times with home one. Huh. Let's go U-Wing reinforcement. And let's go ahead and get Bright Hope, as well as Bale or Yoda. No, I like Yoda here because we get to pump up Yoda. Okay, they get to ambush Yoda. I guess that would have happened, but if they do this, then we get to pump up the Bright Hope with our Rey, which looks pretty nice. We get to kill this, pump up Bright Hope, and now, I mean, we did a little bit of damage to their stuff. Yeah, we get to just go ahead and attack, and then next turn we get to attack again. I mean, it's not going too bad. We have a bunch of Sundari Peacekeepers in hand. We do have the what's it called? The option to go ahead and ECL something out. Them not playing the frontline shuttle and just smacking us for approximately $1 billion is kind of crazy to me. I would have expected them to do that very quickly here, but I suppose I'll just trade off here, get our restore in. They have a Han Solo. Oof, that is so brutal. They have Han Solo. Absolutely just brutal. That is probably game ending. Not much we can do about that, however. We can play a couple Sundari Peacekeepers and a Bail Organa. We can play a Rose Tico out. Not ambushed. Or not ECL'd. Wow. Yep, that is a pretty good card. Let's get a Rose Tico out. They were lagging out there. Wow, Han Solo is absolutely brutal. They have truly outvalued us, I'll say that much. There's a patrolling V-Wing. Not too scary, to be honest. Let's go ahead and get down the card. Let's get a Bail Organa here. They claimed initiative. Sure. We are kind of in for a absolute beating in this game. We can't really deal with the home one, to be honest. They get to go kill our Sundari Peacekeeper here. We could have tried racing with them, but oh wow, they're gonna go that direction. That's a little bit weird, to be honest. Let's go give the experience token to Sundari Peacekeeper. Looks like they made a mistake. They should have killed the Sundari Peacekeeper with Han instead of hitting Rose Tico with the shield. I think that was definitely not what you wanted to do. They get to ambush something, kill off Bail Organa. They're doing work here, I'll say that much. But we get to go ahead and potentially kill off something if we want. We can go ECL this guy out, which doesn't do too much. We can Arc 170, Jedi Lightsaber something. I mean, we kind of need to keep Sundari Peacekeeper around. So I think we just Jedi Lightsaber Rose Tico here. And then we try to kill Han with Rose Tico and then hit the Frontier ATRT with Sundari Peacekeeper. And we have to try to restore our way out of things. Like, that's about all we got, you know? I mean, that's all we can do. Oh, man, they have a Rogue Squadron Skirmisher. They just have everything, to be honest. They've drawn so many cards. They just have everything. I don't know if they can just keep getting back cards. Oh, man, it's so nasty. It's so nasty. Yeah, let's go ahead and hit their ATRT here. Try to restore up. We get to ECL out the Sundari Peacekeeper, restore up a little bit more, I suppose. We get to play the Arc 170, and maybe we can get in for some damage. We could have tried racing them, but I mean, they could just hit our face too, and it's pretty bad for us as well. They have approximately 1 million resources, so I mean, I think this is going to be a game. They have ambush unit as well. Jeez. I mean, we have to go for as much damage as we possibly can. We just can't rely on them having. They have another hunt. All right, good game. They got us. GG. They just have approximately 1 billion ambush units, and that was really good against us. Well, we are trying to stack up experience tokens, and Han doesn't die to it. There you go. Han Green absolutely decimated us for the most part. We didn't really have a winning plan there after they were able to Han out our array, which was just absolutely amazing. Resupply on turn 1, pretty good. On to game number 3. Is this game number 3? I think this is game number 3. Looks like we're against Deck Tester 3000 on the Mando Blue upgrade hype train. This is going to be a pretty interesting matchup. We do have the Alliance Dispatcher turn 1, which is pretty nice. We are going second. We get to go to resource this Freetown backup. We could be out smuggling these out, but to be honest, this is just kind of a free card. It may not even be worth playing it. The question is, what do I want to resource here? Fel the Dragon's probably pretty good against the Mandalorian himself, so I kind of want to keep that out. Or not the leader, but the other man, whatever the other Mandalorian, the actual Mandalorian, the Sentinel one. So I think I want to keep that. And I think I'm going to get rid of this Bright Hope because I want to keep all my units here, seeing as we have a Alliance Dispatcher on turn 1. They got a Grief Karga. They get to go Vambrace Grapple Shot. We get to go Alliance Dispatcher into give it an experience token. And then we could also potentially play out a Admiral Akbar for free or a modded cohort. Interesting. So Vambrace Grapple Shot gives +2/+2, I believe, and you get to exhaust the defender. So what do we want to do here? We can play out a modded cohort and trade Grief with the modded cohort, assuming they play Vambrace Grapple Shot. If they don't, then things are completely different, of course. And I think we get rid of this Bail Organa here. I think we do we do actually go ahead and go with the modded cohort. Oh, they're going to go Guardian of the Wills here. Interesting. Yeah, we get to go ahead and play a unit, and that's going to be Admiral Akbar, and we get to kill the Guardian of the Wills, which prevents them from playing the Vambrace Grapple Shot, which is probably what they're trying to do. And then we get to put an experience token on our Admiral Akbar, which is really good. So that was a really nice play, I think. They probably were trying to set up some sort of Guardian plus Vambrace Grapple Shot there. But I don't think that was a good play regardless, because we have the Alliance Dispatcher, and we could have just attacked it. But this allows us to get the maximum value here, which is really, really nice. So let's go ahead and just get an experience token on the Admiral Akbar. They went ahead and attack our Akbar. Totally fine. We're getting a ton of value here. We have double modded cohort, which seems pretty good here. So does the ARC 170s, however. But we could go cheaper modded cohort plus put an experience token on something, and I think I'd rather do that. And we also have Fell the Dragon, which we could just end up playing here. So it depends on what our opponent does, of course. They can play an upgrade and exhaust something. There's the Vambrace Grapple Shot, I assume. It should have +2/+2. Regardless, we get to go ahead and play out the modded cohort, ambush, and I'll act. I'm going to make it so that the modded cohort is dead, because the Vambrace Grapple Shot plus the Grief Karga should have killed the modded cohort. So I'm going to act as if it's dead. There's not much that, we could do there, to be honest. They're going to go, this is the way. Did they miss? Oh, wait, this is the way. Wait. Reveal them, draw them. Oh, they must have missed on the this is the way. I was like, wait a second, shouldn't they have gotten something off that? That's crazy. That's pretty crazy. All right, we need to start getting in some damage, to be honest. We are not really getting in any damage whatsoever to our opponent, but I guess they're not either, so that's fine. Oh, I think we just go ahead and go with the modded cohort ambush again, and that is fantastic for us because we get to keep the one resource. Follower of the Way looks a little bit scary, and okay, they just conceded. It is what it is. I think that we were pretty well set up in that game because we had so many value trades, and that's one of the problem with playing a bunch of upgrade style decks. Grief Karga, again, it's a 2/2. Follower of the Way or Guardian of the Wills, 2/2s. 2/2s are terrible in this game, and so you saw it there. They just got absolutely ran over. All right, we are into the game number 4 here. We actually did try to fight this guy, but there was a bug with the Follow the Way, and it looks like I have it in my hand again. So hopefully it's not going to mess us up too bad. But apparently if you put an experience token on your Follow the Way, it ends up with a damage. So that's not that great because it kind of screws up the entire strategy around it. But anyways, we're going to try to fight through it here, and I'll just showcase this one regardless of us winning or losing or whatever. I mean, it is what it is. If it's bugged, it's bugged. But let's go ahead and claim the initiative here. Let's get an experience token over on Follow the Way, and then we could hopefully hit some sort of play. Drew so many Ewing reinforcements. Not ideal here in the earlier stages of the game, but we do have experience token on Follow the Way plus R2D2, which looks pretty nice here. Dr. Evazan is kind of absurd here. It's just such an obnoxious card to deal with in the earlier stages of the game. And if they have a shoot first here, it's going to kill my Follower of the Way. But there's not much we can do about it because normally it wouldn't. It's supposed to be a 5 toughness unit. So it is what it is, but it's a bug. It is a bug. It's not supposed to get a damage. If they have shoot first, I suppose, maybe they would have shoot first. You shouldn't shoot first if it was 4 toughness, so maybe do something else, I suppose. But they have a Bodhi and they got Ewing reinforcement. Let's go ahead and do we want Yoda here? I think we could bottom a Yoda. I don't think it's actually going to be super useful for us. We could hit Bodhi with our Follower of the Way, or we could just hit Dr. Evazan, I suppose. We can go Evazan, Rose Tico into Sundari Peacekeeper if we kill Dr. Evazan, which looks pretty good. We can ECL it out, which is pretty nice. Let's go ahead and pass here. Double Rose Tico here. Do I want double Rose Tico? Probably not. Or I could play Rose Tico. No. We want Admiral Akbar or Sundari Peacekeeper to come follow up Rose Tico. That's absolutely what we want. Let's see what they decide to do. They could trade Dr. Evazan into Follower of the Way, which isn't a terrible thing to do because we wouldn't be able to leverage the resources. And that's something that you should consider when playing this. They're going to surprise strike into the base. Okay. I don't mind this. We get to go ahead and ECL out a Rose Tico, and we get to ambush the Dr. Evazan and defeat a shield token to make it a 4-5. This is a really nice little 1-2 because we can follow it up with an Akbar plus an experience token, which looks really, really nice. Or we can go Sundari Peacekeeper plus experience token. They're going to get rid of the Sundari Peacekeeper. Okay, seems reasonable to me. Let's go ahead and go Akbar. Let's go ahead and finish off the Bodhi Rook. And that means that we can get an experience token probably over on the R2. And then we get to go ahead and hit into their base, and we get to bottom that garbage. Looks like it came back for us. The Alliance Dispatcher wasn't done with us yet. Let's go to resource the Alliance Dispatcher. We can potentially bounce the Admiral Akbar, so that's something we could end up doing here. Boba Fett comes down this turn, which is something I'm not very excited about because that's going to be a lot of resources that they have access to. Let's see what they decide to do with this Bazine. Card's pretty interesting. I'm not gonna lie. They go shoot first into okay. Let's just go experience token into R2. So they got essentially a free shoot first, which is pretty nice. And now we can potentially go. So we can actually hit their Boba Fett without killing our Rose Tico, which looks pretty nice. Let's just go ahead and hit their Administrator's Tower. It's a Freetown backup. We can go in and resource it. By the way, we also have a Freetown backup in our backup here. Let's go ahead and just Rose Tico into their Boba Fett. Pass on the defeating a shield token. They can kill our Admiral Akbar. They do not. So we get to go hit the Crafty Smuggler. Restore 1. We get Bright Hope, return Admiral Akbar, which means that we can play another Admiral Akbar and get a lot of value off that. They could potentially just kill us this turn, to be honest. If they have a Fett's Fire Spray, though, the Bright Hope actually ends up defending against that, which is really nice. We have to be very, very careful here. We get to deploy the Ray, which is really, really nice. And our hand looks pretty good. Fell the Dragon actually doesn't hit anything on their side of the battlefield yet. So we have to be careful. If they have like a Cunning, that's going to be brutal. Cunning just really does some nasty stuff to us. Of course, they can't pump their team necessarily because they pump. I guess they can pump bounce. Yeah, they can pump bounce, which, well, no, they can't really do that because if they pump a unit and bounce one of my units, then we get to just kill whatever unit that they're hitting. So that's pretty brutal for them. Okay, let's just go ahead and kill off their Crafty Smuggler here, and let's put Bright Hope on the bottom. They could potentially hit my Rose with their, their Bazine, but that's not really a big deal because we get to do all sorts of stuff here. We get to go Experience Token on Bright Hope, and then we get to deploy Ray, and then Follower of the Way, and then Admiral Akbar to guarantee that Boba Fett dies. And we get the experience token on Follow the Way, which turns into a 3-5. So that's really, really impressive. And I don't know what their opponent has, but I mean, okay, it looks like they have Bosk. This still ends up working out quite nicely because we get Follower of the Way. Admiral Akbar ends up killing off the Boba Fett. Boom. And then we get to attack into this, get an experience token over on Ray, hit in for 3, and boom, look at that. What a fantastic turn there. We absolutely wiped our opponent's board. We got rid of Boba Fett with the Admiral Akbar. That was really, really nice. And, you know, there's a No Good to Me Dead. Sure, they got that. They got there, I suppose. But it's really not that big of a deal. We don't get to get in for a ton of damage here, but we have the modded cohort, which could be potentially pretty powerful. Let's just go ahead and hit in for 1. And if they have a Surprise Strike or Cunning, they have a Mock Clunky. Wow. Wow, that was a play. I should have killed their Cartel Spacer with my Bright Hope. And because we didn't, that ends up being a pretty massive misplay, just because they ended up killing my Ray for kind of free, because I ended up killing their Cartel Spacer anyway. So that was pretty crazy. Double fill the dragon in our hand though, and I mean, we have a very nice board here, no doubt about it. So there's not much to be worrying about necessarily. And we get to go ahead and get an experience token over on the Rose Tico, which I could have given to the Follower of the Way, but I'd rather kind of pump up the Rose Tico to get in a ton of damage here, and destroy the token. I guess I should have potentially gone ahead and gone for the experience token of Follow the Way, but I don't think it matters all that much. These Fell the Dragons, if these were takedowns, they could have done something a little bit different, a little bit better potentially, but they were not. So let's get an experience token over on Follower of the Way, and let's go ahead and, okay, they just kind of gave up, I suppose. They're just letting me kill them. GG. That was pretty interesting. Their Dr. Evazan was kind of crazy, but ended up giving us a big upside, which was we got to play Rose Tico, ambush their unit, and deploy another unit. So that was actually pretty nice. So what did we find out from this video after a few matches with the deck here recording, and of course a few matches before and after? Well, the overall shell of playing these like really understated units for low cost but getting a lot of value, like Alliance Dispatcher and Bail Organa, ended up giving us a ton of value. Also, Arc 170s X-Wings with an experience token on them, super fantastic. Even R2D2, super fantastic. Follower of the Way, absolutely amazing with experience tokens. And Admiral Akbar, synergizing with all these cheap units, probably the best card in our deck, if not like the second best. Rose Tico ended up being really good with ECL. I'd say the cards that really underperformed for me were Jedi Lightsaber and Freetown Backup. I played around with Freetown Backup quite a bit, and some games it actually did pretty good stuff, but basically in any of our games, I didn't really see a great time to smuggle this out, because playing it for so much additional cost is pretty mediocre. And Jedi Lightsaber, it felt like anytime I wanted to put it on something, it was just like, oh, it doesn't let me use the experience token, so it doesn't actually end up being resource efficient, and they can just kill it, and ends up being pretty mediocre. But modded cohort, the ambush was pretty nice. It works with Ray really well. Bright Hope works with Ray really well. There's a lot of units that work with Ray really well. I wouldn't say the deck is like insane or anything. We did pretty nicely. We ended up taking down Boba Yellow in that last matchup. Of course, they weren't playing the standard Boba Yellow list, but they were playing the new and improved, I guess you could say, Boba Yellow list. But I think that overall it performed pretty well, better than I thought it was going to. And I'm very hopeful for Ray in the future. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you all for the next one.